My name is François. I am blockchain developer at iExec, and today I want to present you what we are in iExec today. So my talk transaction will be like this. I will present you what we experiment with sidechain and bridge today with the actual with the technology, and with what we are planning to build with the new tools arriving like Substrate and Polkadot. So in one slide, the iExec ecosystem, we are doing off-chain compute. That means that we use blockchain for two things. The first thing is we use it for creating a marketplace. We have resource providers, application providers, and data providers. They can seal deals thanks to the blockchain. And then we use the blockchain for another part. Is when the deal is sealed, we have a replication mechanism. And so off-chain compute is executed on many workers. And then you have the proof, what we call POC, proof of contribution. That means that there is a trust of the result because many workers have worked on this task. So we have a network topology with worker and worker pools. We can think like miners and miner pools. And thanks to this typology, we can have a quality of service. And it is an open network. Everybody can join as a worker pool, or as a resource provider. So it was an introduction of our ecosystem. And this is what I have said. We do off-chain compute. We added an economic game incentive for the workers to contribute well. And we create a marketplace for resources. Today we have deployed on mainnet, and we will release a new version of iExec in next May. And on mainnet, you can use this technology to have some decentralized oracle, because you can have a replication of what you wanted to have on chain. So on mainnet, you have this use case. But we also wanted to provide other use cases, and this is why we are now using some bridges. And we want to deploy proof of authority chains with the same smart contract. And it will enable some consortium use case I will show you. So we mitigate the governance of these POA chains by allowing consortium to bootstrap this technology. So this is from the front part. And where we want to go is to have remove as much as possible the authorities of bridge. And this is why we are interested of using Polkadot to have this. He has his own incentive to relay message, so it can be a good thing. And also for the governance, we have all the governance module we want to experiment with Substrate to be able to have autonomous domain chain thanks to the new technology coming. So it is our strategy. And the first part we use, as I said, bridges, and we use the POA network bridge that can transfer ERC20 to ERC20. And today we contributing on this bridge to add some consortium features. That means that you can whitelist the addresses to be used on the sidechain. And when we saying consortium, each company can add the value. So if you have three authorities, one company can have data, the other can have the application, and the other one can have idle resources. And by joining them into a consortium chain, they can enable new business for them. So the first thing is they have their own POA chain, and the gain is that they have the shared auditability of the usage between parties, and without bridge, but they have this share auditability, and at the end of each month, they can decide to pay according to the transaction auditability of their resources. So this is a main first use case, but you can have also another level. They can automate their payment between them, and this is where we're using bridges and they can bridge under the same authority an asset that will represent these resources. So, and yes, with this, they also can allow other external users to come into their chain to use the services. And if the user is okay to have confidence on this authority, he can have a good service with less fees on gas on the home chain. So it was for where we are now with the current existing technology. And what we are looking also is what can come next. So we experiment with Substrate to familiarize yourself with WASM coming and see the difference between runtime and smart contract, and also explore governance modules. So from our stack, we extract small parts and try to implement this part on a Substrate runtime module. So I think you know better than me that how Substrate node works. And so basically we introduce a new module iExec into the node template. We define the structure model of what we wanted to experiment. So basically here is the off-chain task definition and contribution on those tasks. We define the storage to store all record of transaction of contribution of worker. And we just experiment some creation of off-chain task and then contribution and reveal by the workers. So it was for us to have competencies and see how Substrate work. And we try to update the interface to be able to interact with these new runtime modules by creating off-chain tasks, propagate worker contributions, and contributions and reveal of the worker to have a consensus of the achieved task. And yeah. And then when the worker reveal and they are part of the consensus, they get reward for their task. I wanted to do this slide to show you and how you can create domain chain. So it was a speculative idea, but I think when with Substrate you can design a specific domain, and I think it will be very useful because when you have a different domain, you have different constraints. And I like to take the example where there is a computation parachain domain, so like iExec. And if you have a domain chain that doing a donation, like Givet or Alice, there are two different domains, and they don't have to have the same security. In the donation parachain domain, you have campaigns and milestones, and you want to have security first because you can raise a lot of money. So you are thinking of some smart contract chain, and you want to have a governance to decide the milestone and trigger the payment. So it's not a big deal for you if the chain is slow, and as long as it is safety, because you are not in a real time of doing something. And on the other end, on the computation parachain domain, you want performance first, And what you wanted is to have auditability and reputation of actors. And certainly it will be optimized for some micropayments between actors and not larger payments like in donation. And so the high throughput will be important in this case. So with Substrate, you can design whatever domain you want, but the good thing is you can think of interoperability between these two domains. And if you have interoperability, you can create new use case. So this idea is like you can create some donate computation offering. That means that you can have a trust line between the two domains, and you really have a programmable money that you have auditable proof that on the donation part there is a milestone that say you have to compute this application for a researcher, and then the computation parachain execute this computation. And you have two domain chains with different security mechanism, but they can create new use case. And I was thinking with the recent spree mechanism introduced a few days ago, that it can be a good usage, because between the two domains you just want to transfer the token aspect and some application selected, but you don't have to share all your logic. You don't have to share your worker pools. And by reducing your scope, this scope, thanks to this shared protected runtime execution enclave, can be reduced, and then you can have the security of I have understand this. You have execution in the context of your parachain, but the code that is executed is a sort of kind of common libraries coming from the security of the relay chain. So I think it's a good example that you have the global integrity of your monetary supply if you transfer token between the donation chain and the computation chain. So it was a speculative idea, but I think it will be good to experiment. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. No, there is this slide. So you have seen that you can communicate with two domains, but we can think of third actors like governments. And if you want to have a deduction of your donation, to the government, you will only want it to share the proof that you have done this donation, but nothing else. So you can imagine that the government will maybe just a parachain that is just receiving proof, just message proof from the citizens. And of course, the proof will be some kind of identity non-reusable proof. That means that the government, for the government, he understands that you have done this donation, but he cannot say to others, this guy has done this donation. So it keeps the privacy, but still have the proof. And yes, it is why this is, it was an idea of using this domain chain and also have this interoperability between chains. So this is the end. Okay, thank you for your attention.